A little something for the weekend with Sam Hunt.
Sam Hunt's with us this morning once again. Good morning to you, Sam.
Hello.
Hello.
Wammo.
Hello.
Good. I was just trying on a pair of dark glasses there, the old John Lennon sort.
Oh, I know the ones, the round ones.
Gee, they're dark. I can't see a thing. I can't see a thing, Wammo.
It's not such a bad thing, though, all the time.
Well, I reckon seeing things is vastly overrated.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. It's actually one of Shamasine's volumes. There's actually a beautiful volume of poems was called Seeing Things. I always like it as a title.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I'll tell you something I came across, a friend gave me this week,
Mm.
and somehow I hadn't really listened to the whole album, but because it came out a year or so back, is that Tufare album.
Oh, isn't that good?
The settings of Hone Tufare's poems.
Yeah, all kinds of Kiwi musicians.
Yeah,
on that.
it's Charlotte Yates. She's really she deserves possibly more recognition than she definitely deserves recognition for what she's done here. You know, both with the Baxter, which that was where songwriters and musicians came along, composers, and set their choice of James K. Baxter's poem to music.
Yeah.
And other than that, I did that with Gareth Farm, our one. But this is Tufare, and I hadn't really listened to the Tufare. I knew and loved Graham Brazier's take on Hone's poem Friend.
Yeah.
I love that.
And what's also great about it is that it was done before Hone passed away. You know,
That's right.
So he was still here to see it happen, and because it was also a show that went on the road as well.
I was a bit behind the Mr. Afton of these things. The ones that really stuck out, you know, as a sort of high points for me is the opening one, Oh Africa, done by Golden Horse.
Yeah, isn't it great?
And Hene Moana Baker. Do you know her work?
I do. Yep.
Yeah, she's a singer. She's also a very good poet. In fact, I must, with her permission, if I'm allowed, do some of her poems sometime. And also, man, I used to know as Dean Harpeter. He does one called Speak to Me, Brother.
Yeah.
He comes under the name of Tukupu. But bloody good, really, really good. You know, there are some people on that album, some songwriters, composers, that I think should leave great poets like Hone Tufare and James K. Baxter
Oh, really?
alone. Oh, yeah, some of it's forced.
Okay.
That's always I think the risky thing, you know, with I've had a lot of over the years. I've had a lot of different people, and I've been very, you know, I mean, I take it as a great compliment that they've set my stuff to music, but quite often, and I'm not just talking about my own work, but other poems by other people, you know, poems by other people set to music, and you just know that it doesn't need that.
Yeah, I love that you're honest about that. You know.
Yeah, you know, I remember very young going and hearing Douglas Lilburn's setting of some poems of Alistair Campbell's that I loved, Alistair T. Archie Campbell. I remember sitting there as a quite young, somewhere, thinking, well, why are they doing this? You know, it doesn't need some tenor going, oh, you know. But anyway, these are the things that happen.
Yeah.
But speaking of disappointment, not liking everything, I got a couple of books of poems this week, both quite fresh off the press, both by poets whose work I've enjoyed over the years, Bill Manhire and Jenny Bornhold. Now, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing the point. But Bill Manhire, whose poems, I remember when his last volume came out on this program, I read a poem of his from Lift, the opening poem from his last volume, Lift. That was a poem in tribute and memory of Michael King.
Yes.
Oputri. Beautiful, beautiful poem. So I'm speaking as a person who loves his poems. I'm sorry, but this new book, which is called, what the hell is it called? Sort of Struck by Lightning or something. I just think the poem's too clever.
Clever?
They're just too clever. They don't actually... It's almost like watching it. For me, it's almost. I've probably got this wrong, and I mean, I'm not. If I'm causing offence to anyone, so be it.
So be it.
So be it.
Yeah.
But for me, a lot of these poems are like a tent that's guy ropes have not been put on properly, and the winds come up, and it's flapping on one last. In fact, it's not even flapping; it's just blowing on the wind, and they don't work for me.
Are they too academic?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, no, academic's the wrong word. They're too poetic. They're too poetic. I mean, we can only take a certain number of images which don't actually sort of add up to anything. And that really sounds quite harsh coming from someone like myself who does love his poems as much. Great, as I say. I'm going to go back to it, and if I find in a month or two that I've changed, and this has happened to me with lots of things, that my initial impression has been being put off something. It's happened with Dylan albums. I've had a Dylan album come along that I thought, oh no, Bob, you've lost it this time. And then within 2 weeks, I'm playing it the whole time.
So something I was thinking about the other day, Sam, was that at the moment there seems to be a lot of issues in the world that that can activate artists, to comment on things or protest about things and whatnot. I was wondering, how do you feed off anything that's happening currently at the moment?
I don't know about that. I've always been suspicious of stuff that does actually.
Okay.
It's like for me the process, and this is just my take on it, but it's like when you dream something and you think, wow, I had that incredibly vivid dream, and then you start thinking about the dream, and you start thinking, oh, I know why I dreamt that, because such and such. It's being filtered through your subconscious, and I like poems and songs and music generally that's has been through that process.
Yeah.
It's come out that way. It's not somebody saying, they mustn't mine on Great Barrier Island. I will write a poem against it.
Because I was thinking the other day, who's going to be the first New Zealand musician to come up with an anti-mining song for the new decade?
Well, it may happen, but if it's good, I mean, when you think about the great protest songs, they often haven't been written as protest songs. Like when Bob Dylan wrote "It's a Hard Rain's Going to Fall." I mean, people sort of jump and talk about the nuclear thing. Well, Dylan says something quite different about the initial thing. It wasn't until he had performed it a couple of times that people said, "Oh, Bob, that's a great protest song." And I mean, that sounds an extreme example, but it actually happens to be true. But whereas I think a lot of people, when you sit down and you think, Baxter used to have a phrase which was against sort of preaching through your poems, the didactic sort of thing, and he used to talk about not wanting to hammer the mahogany. In other words, a lot of these people who come and tell you through their poem or through their song the way you should think and what you should think about something. Sorry, I think I'd tend to go to sort of somebody but I'd go to the poet and to the musician and the composer any day of the week when I really want to get the deep stuff. Yeah. It's an interesting one. I know some people would say, well, that's bullshit. Dennis Glover said it great in one of his Sings Harry poems. He says that he's got that line. Once I followed horses, and once I followed whores, and marched once with a banner for some great cause, sings Harry, but that was only thistle down on the wind, and so it's, but maybe as you get, I don't know, I've always been, I know when I wrote a poem back in 1971, it was called Beware the Man. Yeah. And I wrote that about a bloke who was trying to make me a hat, and he was basically wanting to put me in his uniform. And it was about him. It wasn't about bullies in general. It was about a particular bully. Right. And I wrote the poem, Beware the Man Who Tries to Fit You Out, and his idea of a hat, dictating the colour and the shape of it. He takes your head, carefully measures it, says, of course, blacks out. He sees himself in the big black hat. So you may be a member of the axe. He makes for you your special coloured hat. Beware, he's fitting you for more than that. And people sort of took that as a protest poem, but at the time it was written about a local bully. Later on I came to realise maybe that it was written about a lot of the other ones as well.
Yeah. Did you write one about Muldoon?
I did. It was actually not about him. It was about his girlfriend,
Oh.
who was also my girlfriend at the time.
Oh.
She liked All Blacks politicians and poets. Years ago, Wammo, years ago.
Okay.
And I wrote to her. I'll tell you the poem.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Your ultimate accountant.
Yeah.
Your ultimate accountant, you should have made him years back. Someone should have told you that. A man with muscles for cheeks where his muscles should be, New Zealand's Mussolini. I'm just a lover in black, bloodshot from a bout of you. I've long since turned my back, long since known just what to do. Beyond all proposition, I've joined your opposition.
I like that.
So, I mean, that wasn't a protest against him, but the point making hammering the mahogany, making the point. I wrote about a specific thing. It later on sort of became